PM and welcome everybody. For the audience here tonight, the City of Glendora utilizes a hybrid meeting format to allow for participation both in person and virtually. And in consideration of others and business conducted tonight, please silence your phones and electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Again, this is a public meeting with the community of Glendora, and we appreciate and respect your participation here this evening. So with that, Madam Chair, would you please call roll?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, I will conduct an oral roll call vote. I will ask each commissioner to respond with the word present. Commissioner Holmes.
Present.
Commissioner Cece.
Present.
Commissioner Tomlins. Vice Chair Nakano.
Present.
Chair Hansen.
Present.
Let the record show all commissioners are here.
Okay, would you please stand and join with me in the pledge? And Mr. Nakano, would you please lead us in the pledge one last time?
Absolutely. Thank you. Ready, begin.
And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, does anybody wish to reorder or add anything to the agenda? No. Hearing none, we will go on to public comment. Public comment period is now open, and I invite any member of the public to address the Water Commission. Members are limited to 3 minutes speaking time, once on and off the agenda items. All questions should be directed through the presiding officer. This is your time to speak uninterrupted. And if you are in attendance, please fill out a speaker card submitted to the recording administration. Before the close of the public comment period, once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and subject matter you wish to discuss. If you are participating via Zoom, select the raise hand icon in the Zoom before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, you will receive a request to unmute, state your name and subject matter you wish to discuss. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak?
I've received no comment cards and there are no participants on Zoom because it's all staff. So we have nobody.
Okay. We do now close the public comment period.
Correct.
Okay, now commission statements and reports. Any commission members wish to provide a statement or report at this time?
Just one comment. So we did the one of the tours back in early March.
Mhm.
And thank you for setting that up. It was very informative. And thank you and the other gentlemen, forgive me for not remembering names. For me, it was very informative to see and kind of put a lot of things into perspective as far as what your department do, what you do, and what our involvement is here as far as advising on that. So thank you again for setting that up.
Great. I'm sure it was a good tour. I've been on it numerous times in the past. With that, are there any director, staff, liaisons, or attorneys? Chisholm, do you act as the attorney also? Is that your
I'm
role?
the attorney.
Okay.
I do not give legal advice, but I'm happy to provide my report. Mr. Chair, this past weekend, I was fortunate enough to take a tour with our member agency, Three Valleys of the State Water Project System. And this is a tour in which we actually go and we look at the Delta, which is sort of the beginning of our State Water Project System. This, of course, the State Water Project System, it encompasses 35% of our imported supply. The other 30 or so percent comes from the Colorado River system. And of course, our groundwater supply and conservation efforts make up another 40%. So it's really just good to see the conditions of our reservoirs. One critical reservoir on that system is Oroville, which is currently at about 90% capacity. I mean, it's so full that they're actually releasing water in anticipation of the snow melt during the spring and summer from the Sierras. So we want to make sure that we have enough capacity to accommodate the snow melt and the runoff that will materialize from the snow melt. In addition to that, we also, yesterday I was fortunate enough to tour Metropolitan's advanced pure water system, which is the recycled water that they're currently developing in Carson. This is a drought-proof source of water that will provide that stability to our region by injecting supplies into our basin. The main San Gabriel Basin, which is the basin that we operate out of, is one of the contracted groundwater basins to be able to receive supplies from this Metropolitan Regional Recycled Water Program. So it's about a $5 billion program and it's scheduled to be online around 2032. They're currently going through environmental impacts as we speak. And then just to provide a brief update on our water rate study, we are still working with our consultant. The infrastructure assessment aspect of this initiative is complete. And so we're just refining the rate study. We have a meeting with city management at the end of May 29th, in which we'll go over the comprehensive report, after which we will schedule a joint council and commission meeting to present the rates, the findings, and get your input. And so we're looking at around June timeframe for that meeting, and we'll keep you guys posted on that. And lastly, I just wanted to discuss that from our last meeting, we talked a little bit about our emergency on-call services and really the need to expand our scope of services just to be prepared and be proactive in times of emergencies. And so I'm happy to announce that working with Ivy, we were able to put out an RFP in which we received responses from about 7 contractors to be able to help provide additional services to the city during times of need or emergencies. And so that comprises of pipeline emergency contractors, electrical contractors, chemical feed system contractors. And so this will really go a long way in helping us provide that preventative maintenance and proactivity for our system. And so with that, that's all I have.
You have one question on the advanced water project. What's the timeline on that? When are they going to make a firm commitment that they're actually going to build it, and who's going to pay for it?
Right. So right now, Metropolitan has about 20 or so agencies, which is comprised of groundwater basin agencies. Of course, our groundwater basin water master is a part of that partnership. They also have a number of their member agencies. I believe, the city of Carson is one, the city of Beverly Hills is another, West Basin Municipal Water Districts. So it will be a joint funded initiative. And right now, the tentative timeframe that they're given is 2032 to bring that project online. Now, of course, that will largely depend on how the design goes and how the constructability of that project goes. But right now, they are forecasting about 2032 or so.
So they have made a commitment that they are going to build it.
Oh, no, they have made a commitment. As a matter of fact, right now, they have what they call a demonstration plan, which is complete. It's not a full-scale recycled plant, but it's a smaller scale demonstration plan, but it goes through the same process of treatment, of purification. And so that's complete, and they're utilizing that plan to provide tours, meet all their regulatory requirements and things of that nature, so.
Yeah, what, main San Gabriel Basin, how many acre feet did they kind of commit to, or what's going to be allocated to them?
Yeah, so currently out of that plant, they're forecasting about 500 million acre feet.
Five.
But Upper San Gabriel, how much did Upper San Gabriel commit to?
Oh, okay, so
Water master.
Upper San Gabriel. So we haven't made that commitment yet as far as the exact amount, the specific amount that they're going to inject. Again, that will largely depend on hydrological conditions and our needs at that time, but that would be a year-to-year basis.
Gotcha. And they're thinking they can get 100,000 acre feet a year out of the Carson reclamation plant.
Yeah, well, around 100 or so thousand. We're looking at 200,000 or so acre feet a year. Again, it just really depends on hydrologic conditions.
I thought the payment was MWD save a gallon over here, San Diego saves a gallon too. I thought they were going to spread that across their base.
I think what they're going to look at is they're going to look at pay as you go. Those agencies that want to commit to it are going to be the ones that are going to pay for it.
So that's a change in their philosophy then, right?
I think it is. yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
One last question on the, are they still talking about ultimately at some point direct potable reuse?
Yes, and that is the goal and plan for the future. Right now, as you know, it is secondary where they inject it into the groundwater. But, you know, eventually, as we become more advanced with the purification process, the plan is to get that recycled water into direct potable reuse.
And potentially, if the water's coming up to Santa Fe Springs for spreading, ultimately to get over to the Weymouth treatment plant, they may be coming close to Glendora.
Well, they will have a pipeline. As a matter of fact, they do have an existing pipeline, an upper feeder, which actually traverses our city, our community here in Glendora. But the idea is that we'll be making some enhancements to their conveyance systems.
Okay, great. Great report. Yeah, a special presentation, a special item to present to the outgoing Vice Chair, Justin Nakano. And you want me to give the plaque?
Yes, sir. You did the honors.
I have a plaque here for Justin. It says Justin Nakano. Hey, stand up. So, Justin Nakano, Water Commissioner with appreciation for outstanding contribution to the Community and Public Works Division, July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2023, City of Glendora Water Commission. And I have a few words about Justin. And when I first met Justin, it was on T-ball, and he was 6 years old, and he stood right about here on me. But I'm really proud of Justin and what he's accomplished and where he's been, and I'd like to take a little credit for giving him. You want me to start over? No. Giving him his start in the water industry as a student intern at Three Valleys, and that was nearly 20 years ago. You know, and Mike was there too. I got a lot of people started in the water industry. So, but anyway, congratulations. You've done a great job for the city and the Water Commission, and we hope you find some other way to get involved representing the city. Also, just want to recognize Mom and Dad out in the audience, Jim and Miyako. And it looks like a couple of kids. You want to introduce them? I don't know their names.
Yeah, that's Emmett and Olivia.
Okay, great. The whole family's here. So here you go, Michael. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, thank you to the staff for just supporting me as a commissioner through all these years, supporting us through the pandemic as well with all those changes. Thank you all the commissioners for this, present and past commissioners that I've worked with. It's always been a really collaborative and great experience for me. Working and talking, and everybody's been really passionate about this city and its water. So it's been a really great experience. Thank you to my parents for, watching my kids, and Emmett and Olivia. Thank you guys too. I know this takes time away from you. My wife's still at work, so I'd like to thank her as well for giving me the time to be here and serve this community in ways that I can. So still got a full meeting left and maybe some things in between. But yeah, the hope is to try and to stay involved in the community as much as I can, and maybe if I'm lucky enough, maybe be able to rotate back on here as well. So thank you so much.
And Lorna, did you want to get a picture or? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Emmett, Olivia, Mom, Dad, you guys want to come up? Yeah.
Right here. Just right over. And right over. Right over.
His mother should be.
Yeah.
Let's move the chairs. So there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no, no, no. That's right.
Okay, next item we have on the agenda is the consent calendar. Consent calendar items will enact one motion without individual discussion unless a commissioner has requested it be removed for separate discussion. Anybody wish to comment on item number 3, the minutes of January 26th? We actually had a quorum present.
Mhm, we did. So if you want to go ahead and push the button, it should be on the screen. Motion. You see it? There you go. Yes. And then do we have a second?
It's been moved.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Second, sorry. Now that I'm physically here. Hit that button.
You'll learn that you gotta be quicker.
Quick,
on
yeah.
that. All right, the motion's been made and seconded. If we have a vote?
I will now conduct an oral roll call vote as well. Commissioner Holmes. Commissioner Cece.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nakano,
Yes.
Chair Hansen,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, unfinished business is the water distribution update. We invite the water utility supervisor, Jason Forsberg, to report.
All right, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me tonight. I will be providing the water distribution update. So here we have the third quarter comparison chart for the distribution leak history. In the blue, you'll see that represents fiscal year 21-22. In the red, that represents fiscal year 22-23. As you can see, we're staying pretty steady with leaks compared to last year's third quarter, compared to this year. And then the overall lookout compared to 21-22 and 22-23 fiscal year to date. Again, blue represents fiscal year 21-22 and red represents 22-23. And as of now, compared to last year, from first to third quarter, we are ahead in leaks, and we're just getting more leaks in the past month. So I'll be happy to provide the fourth quarter leak history next meeting. So here are some notable third quarter water projects that have happened in the past 3 months in no particular order. And I'll go through these as we proceed. So we have the Grand Avenue Arrow Highway Emergency Project. We have the 407 West Bennett Avenue fire hydrant blowout, Wildwood Canyon Road 6-inch valve replacement. And then we will also be looking at our staffing look ahead for water distribution. So right here, so the picture on the left, that is right there at Grand Avenue and Arrow Highway. So we had a 4-inch steel line from 1955 basically blow up right there. And that was on February 2nd is when we got called out for that. So that's the initial leak on the left. And from there, we had to isolate that section of line, which was about 200 to 300 feet of 4-inch steel line. And then it turned into a 6-inch AC line, which went under the San Dimas wash right there on Arrow and Grand. Because we had to shut that down, we did have to temporarily feed 4 businesses off of Arrow Highway, which you'll see on the picture on the right. And that is the Highline temporary service for those feeding those 4 businesses. So as a result of that leak, we had to call out an emergency contractor. So we had our emergency contractor, Big Ben, come out, and they performed about 270 linear feet of 4-inch PVC installation to reroute the line going along Arrow Highway, going west from the Grand and Arrow Highway intersection. So the photo on the left is the hot tap connecting to an existing line on Grand Avenue and Arrow Highway. And right there, they just performed the hot tap and putting in a new valve. And then the photo on the right is the new line installation. And that work was completed just recently at the end of March. And that line is now in service and it's feeding the 4 businesses right now. So on February 8th, the middle of the night, we had a call out for 407 West Bennett. You can see the photo on the left. There's a 6-inch valve right there in the middle of that hole. And then right to the right of that, you'll see where the line blew out. Our crew was out there, assessed the damage, turned that valve off to isolate the hydrant, and then returned in the morning and made the repairs, which you'll see on the right. And luckily for us and the community, so that area is planned for a water CIP, which will most likely get done next summer, and that whole line will be replaced. So March 20th of this past year, at 2525 Wildwood Canyon Road, we had a broken butterfly valve, which you see at the left. That was the end of our public water system. And from there, it fed into a private booster station, feeding the resident 2525 Wildwood Canyon Road. And we made a repair there while they were working on the booster station. So it worked out for both of us, and we installed a new butterfly valve to help isolate that section. So this is our distribution staffing look ahead. Most recently, for 3rd quarter, we did hire 3 new water operators for the distribution crew. And this is the first time in a few years that we are starting to run 2 crews now. So in the last 3 weeks, we just started running 2 construction and leak repair crews. And then we have also 1 position that we are filling right now, and that's the 3rd lead. And that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Any questions from commissioners? Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Forsberg. Thank you for your presentation. That C900 class of pipe,
Yes.
what's the pressure rating on that? Is that I mean, they have different pressure ratings based on,
Yes.
okay,
Yes. I believe that one, I think, is at 225.
okay. I'm not, yeah,
Yeah.
I've never used that, so.
Yeah.
A lot of leaks in the system. Is that due to the age of the pipe?
Yes, it is. A lot of our system was installed probably early to mid 50s to early to mid 60s.
And most of those are steel?
Correct.
made?
Yes.
Okay. On the valve program, how often do you get around to exercising every valve? Is it a couple of years, or have you gone through them one time, or?
Yeah. So I'm not in charge of the valve program, but we do try to get out there and do it every year.
Every year?
And try to get the valves turned and our flushing as well. We just finished off the list for this year for flushing. So the valve crew goes out, maintains and exercises the valves, and then while they're doing that, they do the flushing at the hydrants and the blow offs as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Question?
I was gonna ask about the leaks too. There
Yes.
Shows there somewhat consistency between this fiscal year and the previous fiscal year.
Correct.
Based on what you're saying, is it just kind of a fact of the matter that we have to just expect that that's gonna happen?
Yes,
until
absolutely.
at some point, a lot of
Yes.
the line gets changed out.
Yeah, just to give some more numbers, so just right now, for this month of April, we're already at 38 leaks. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
The other thing I was curious about when I was going through the packet the other day, so you said for the first time in a long time, you're gonna have two crews now.
correct.
At the last meeting, and then again at the beginning, we were talking about needing the emergency services. Is there ever a point, or is there ever a plan that the city would have enough staff to not need as much outside services, or do we just have too much work that I know, I figure we're probably always going to need it, but is there ever a point where we can reduce the cost of that while keeping it within the city, or are we not looking to do that?
No, great question, Pat. So to provide some context, currently, we actually internally, we provide, I would say about 98% of our leaks are handled and managed by internal staff. As far as soliciting the services of an emergency on-call, it's not necessarily a workload issue. It's more of a, when we have a more complex leak and to where we don't have the mechanism to be able to fix a leak. You know, for example, if we have a leak on one of our larger diameter mains, and we don't have the capability to isolate the line, or we're not able to shut off the pressure. At that point, we will call for an emergency contractor, just because they have the mechanized equipment and the manpower to be able to handle that type of work.
Okay, makes sense. All right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, yes.
David?
Another, is the entire distribution system in Glendora about the same age? Or what I'm trying to get at is it all equally vulnerable, or are there certain areas that are more vulnerable than others?
Yes, I'd say for a larger part, most of the areas are vulnerable and of the same age. We do have, some areas that are a lot newer with the past CIPs that went through and replaced. But we do, in some areas, we may have a line from 1920, but for the most part, everything's going to be from about 55 to about 65. 1965.
Has there been some kind of estimate as to what it would cost to completely refurbish the system, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's actually part of the work that we're doing currently as part of that comprehensive infrastructure assessment. And so we'll certainly be providing those numbers in our joint meeting and also a plan in terms of the replacement for those infrastructure.
Okay, thank you.
When I first got started with the city in the water, you just replaced wooden pipe from Big Dalton Canyon. So great report, Jason.
All right.
We
Thank,
have a motion to receive and file the water distribution update. Guess we got to go back to,
Yeah. So currently, we have a motion by Commissioner Thomas and seconded by Vice Chair Nakano. I will now open up so that you guys can vote, and I'll do an oral call vote. Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Sisi?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas? Vice Chair Nakano?
yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
all right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Moving on to number 5, the water conservation program update. And Armando De Jesus will give us a report on the water conservation program. Armando, great.
There we go. Thank you, Chairman, Water Commissioners. My name is Armando Jesus, the Management Aide for the Water Conservation Section. Tonight, I'll be providing the water conservation update for the third quarter of 2023, and to give just an overview of our current programs and what we're doing. And this slide, starting with our rebate program, you can see a breakdown of every item that we rebated so far in this quarter. The fiscal year, the top rebated item was clothes washers, followed by dishwashers. On this slide, you can see a side-by-side comparison of how many applications we received. So in 2022 shown in blue and 2023 shown in orange. So in 2023, we received over $6,000, or we gave out over $6,000 worth of items. And they were 43 applications that we processed, and over 100% of those were physically inspected by WaterWise Consulting for compliance, just to make sure those items were actually installed. Our water use efficiency surveys, WaterWise Consulting performed 24 surveys this quarter. As you can see, there was a slight decrease of surveys that were performed compared to last year due to the amount of heavy rains that we received. And also this year, we were training a new staff member as well. Our violations, they were 23 violations during the third quarter. Occasionally you will hear us refer to these violations as green tag violations, and that's due to the actual color of the door tag. So these violations mostly consisted of broken sprinklers, excessive runoff, and water in during the rain. Notice the difference in violations from 2022 to 23. In conservation, seeing reductions in numbers is actually a good thing, especially with violations, because it tells us that our outreach messaging is actually working and residents are paying attention and are following the rules. So our turf removal program, we received 21 applications, 29 were completed. Residents removed a total of 44,000 feet of turf, and we rebated over $82,000 back to our residents. Starting on May 1st, SAB will stop accepting applications for the program. And that's just basically because the funding has been exhausted already. So we've been running this program as of August of last year. SAB will continue promoting NWD's turf removal program and letting residents know of other available options. So this is just an example, one of the projects that were completed this past quarter, very large front yard, remove the grass, put artificial turf, some decorative rocks. And this has been one of the most popular options that we've seen so far. This one is a much smaller project, came out beautiful, and it's even a smaller project like this will make a large impact in the residents' bill. Our outreach and educational messaging. So we did meet with our media team, and they recommended that we provide a mixture of different posts, educational and promotional. So some of these messages are permanent posts, and others are posted as stories, which only last about 24 hours. So they are temporary. We're also including messages in our bill inserts as well. The same information as posted on here will be posted on the bill inserts. Let's see. So SAB to celebrate Fix the Leak Week starting March 20th to the 26th. We collaborated with our library department by giving away free water leak kits. In these conservation water leak kits, we promoted our new collaboration with WaterWise Consulting, which provides free water audits to our residents. And we also launched our new irrigation controller replacement and irrigation repair programs on this flyer. 3 staff members became QUAL certified, myself included. What this means is that the certification allows staff to plan check landscape irrigation plans, and it also allows us to inspect those projects once they're completed and make sure that they have met the state standards in what they told us what they were going to install in their plans. Staff conducted 3 presentations to the 5th grade classes of Sellers Elementary School. In this picture, you see our water conservation officer, Janet Tetler, teaching the students where their water comes from. Staff is currently collaborating with Lefebvre Elementary School. We applied for a grant through MWD, in which we are awarded $2,000. The funding will be used to purchase educational reading materials that will allow the teachers to teach the students on the importance of conserving water. The funding will also be used to purchase plants and other materials, so the students can have hands-on experience creating their drought-friendly garden. That will most likely happen during the fall of next year. But the next students, we're right at the tail end of the school year, so the next generation of class will have that hands-on experience. So staff will be attending a special Earth Day celebration at the school actually tomorrow. And a member of our social media team will be joining us to document the event. So we can use that footage for promotional materials and showcase our collaboration with the school. So our city comparisons, so this shows our conservation reduction figures, starting with the 2022 and 2023 comparisons. We use these figures to help staff assess our current progress with our conservation efforts. This year to date percentage is 31.49% reduction in water usage. This reduction is largely because of the 30+ inches of rain that we received this past couple months. We do expect for these numbers to decrease in the upcoming months due to the change of weather. It is getting warmer now. So our comparisons of 2020 to 2023, these figures are reported to the state on a monthly basis. As you can see, we have a 23.44% reduction year to date. During the past 7 months, we have consistently met the 20% reduction goal set by the state. This information is being updated on a monthly basis on the city website. Upcoming events on May 3rd, staff will be presenting awards to the winners of this year's 2023 poster and slogan contest. The awards will be presented by City Council, and Water Commissioner staff are invited to attend to be part of the award ceremony as well. Those of you that have responded to Myers Repeat, thank you very much. And lastly, our conservation collaboration and our plans with MWD and Three Valleys turf dashboard. Staff has received the turf dashboard data already, but we do not have the confidence on the resolution of the images. They're not as clear as we would like them to be. So we are exploring other options right now. So staff recently met with a company called Eagle Aerial, and they have developed a very similar dashboard with much clearer images. Eagle Aerial is a part of CalWEP, California Water Efficiency Partnership, and over 60+ agencies all over Southern California are actually using this program already. And our current membership with CalWEP will allow us to use this program. SoCal Partnership, we actually met with them this morning, and the program will officially be launched on May 1st, which is next week on Monday. Staff will be promoting the program and the bill inserts, social media, and future outreach events as well. SoCal Gas will also be delivering door hangers, promoting the program to every residential property starting on May 11th through 12th, so during that weekend. Our Charter Oak and Glendora Unified School District collaboration, Waterwise Consulting has completed the water surveys already. So staff will be meeting with each respective school representatives during the upcoming weeks to discuss the findings and come up with a plan on how the city can help them reduce their water consumption. And finally, staff will continue promoting our new programs and our message of conservation is a way of life, and that one good rainy season does not mean that we can go back to old habits. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Great. Any questions? Sure. Justin.
The La Fetra getting the grant is really, really great. How is there any possibility that we can expand that, or can we educate the other teachers? It seems like a teacher from La Fetra initiated this thing. So is there any way we can educate or let other teachers in the district maybe know that something like that is possible? That's something that they might be able to apply for. Is it kind of along those lines? Are we being proactive about spreading this message that sort of funding is available?
Of course, yeah. This is, since we are at the tail end of the school year, we are planning on starting promoting it starting in August. So we could let all the teachers know, yes, this teacher is the one that actually approached us about this program, and we did not know that there's additional funding on there. So we approached it, and on top of the $2,000 that we are providing for the grants, the school is actually going above and beyond, and they're asking their associations as well to add additional funding, because they are expanding their garden that they're planning on doing, and it's going to cost more than $2,000. So it's this collaboration has kind of made a bigger collaboration that we ever anticipated. But we will be promoting that through all the rest of the schools as well.
The violations, were those violations that were found when doing the assessments, or are those randoms where people called it in and said, hey, this is, water's being wasted down the sewer, or how did those come about?
It's a mixture of both. Primarily, we do have a part-time conservation officer that does, literally his job is to drive around and look for these type of violations. So when we do see them, we do let the resident know. It's not a, hey, we're gonna find you right away. It's more just to let you know, we were driving around, we noticed a sprinkler has popped up and you're losing a lot of water. So we do give ample time for them to fix it. And then if, let's say, a couple of weeks later, we drive around, we see the same thing. At that point, that's when it becomes a violation. But we do get time to time, we do get residents calling us, letting us know my neighbor's watering every day. And then we do take those seriously and we'll go and check them out to see what's happening.
Thank you.
David?
When the presentations are made in the schools, are they made by the teachers to the classes of children only, or are they also presented at PTA meetings or something where the parents are also hearing it?
It's mainly to the actual students. So we mainly do our presentations to fifth grade classes. At that age, they'd have already gone through the water cycle. So they do have that understanding on where the water comes from. So we just kind of take it at extra level and we let them know exactly where the water comes from and teach them how to conserve and additional tips.
Is there any feedback as to the enthusiasm level that the kids have for this?
Oh, they have tons of questions,
Oh,
a
that's
lot
good.
of brilliant questions that I would have never asked as a child. But no, it's every time we do a presentation, it's always a new question that I'm like, wow, that's really smart.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one comment. I've noticed for the last couple of years that Three Valleys or Glendora has not taken advantage of the money that Three Valleys has.
Mhm.
They have over $300,000 that they grant out to their member agencies. And the agency that normally gets the most money is Walnut Valley Water District. That's right. But they have over $300,000 a year that could supplement your conservation program.
Yes,
And-
we do have plans this, I know this, the funding for last year's already been closed. We are working closely with Kirk. And
Okay.
he's letting us know when it opens up so we can start
Okay,
getting some of that funding as
great,
well.
great. There's money there.
Yes.
So. All right, Justin,
I know two current commissioners who might have a little bit of ties to that.
I
so
might, I
just,
might,
yeah,
I might have some pull there.
If you, one might be bringing it up and one might be willing to help staff out.
Yeah. All right, can I have a motion to receive and file the Water Conservation Program update?
So we have a motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Holmes. I will open up so you guys can vote on the dais and then I will conduct an oral call vote. Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Cece? Commissioner Thomas? Vice Chair Nakano?
Yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, great.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, an update on the Engineering Division Capital Improvement Program, the CIP projects. And Malaya Ansari will give us a report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Tonight, I'm going to present the update of Engineering Division Water CIP program. As of now, there are 6 active projects currently in design or construction. 5 projects are from fiscal year 21-22. 4 are already awarded for construction. Construction is either started or delayed because of material procurement. 1 project is in design phase. 1 project from 2019 to 21 is under construction. Estimated completion is June 2023. With recent rains, I'm afraid that it is going to push a little bit more. And 2 projects has recently completed and the City Council adopted the notice of completion. These are the project details of our active projects. Bennett, Westridge, Water and Street Project construction award was done in February 2023. One of the condition for this project is that the active construction will be during school break. As of now, we are in contact with the contractor to see if they can proceed or do something in the school break as it's approaching so near. Contractor is not ready to start construction because availability of the parts, especially for their service laterals. Cumberland, Palomar Country Club Vista that is in the northeast corner of the city and a combination of different streets. Construction award is in March 2023. Contractor is working to get the materials. We don't have any date or schedule that when they will be starting. Mauna Loa, Linfield, Dwell that is in the, I will say not really south, but east of Glendora Avenue, but close to the Freeway 210. Construction is awarded in January 2023. Contractor has submitted their submittals. Material submittals are already reviewed and approved, and contractor is working on the material procurement. North Glendora Reservoir replacement design is in progress. Design is in schedule. And at this time, they are working on 65% design and also on the CEQA environmental documents. Cossack Place, St. Vladimir, that is close just north of Route 66 by Valley Center High School vicinity. Project has been completed and the notice of completion was accepted in March 2023. Bender Carter Santa Fe project is construction is in progress. Some delays because of recent rain, but we are trying to make sure that the project stays as much on a schedule as it possible. Gladstone Reservoir and Booster demolition, that project has been completed. Council has accepted the notice of completion. Now there is a new parking lot added to the park, a new landscape that is the project. With this, I like to share another CIP project that city is working on the design. The project was under, we received the grant fund under Measure W under Safe Clean Water Program and under Upper St. Gabriel Valley River Watershed Group supported that project. The grant funding that we received is $2.49 million. And city hired the services of Craft Water Engineering firm to initiate the design. The design is design is to improve the water quality and also infiltrate the stormwater. Tonight, Mr. Oliver Gallang from Craft Water is with us, and he will do the presentation on the Fink Biner multi-benefit stormwater capture project. Oliver.
All right. Thank you so much. We're really excited to share with you about this project. You know, it's a really wonderful project knowing that you're building something that protects the environment. And so with that, here's an overview. As Malia mentioned, this project did receive funding for design through Measure W, which is a property tax that is every resident. It was approved by the voters a few years back with over 70% approval, with the intent of providing water quality improvements, water supply benefits, and things like that. So really great program. And the city of Glendora was successful in receiving funds for design. And then we can talk about, you know, the next steps. But and so the nice thing is we get to do an overview about the project, and hopefully you'll find it's something really valuable to the city of Glendora and a project you can be proud of. So the primary objective of this is it's to develop a regional stormwater capture project. What does that mean? It means it's a facility that creates a very big impact in water quality for the city of Glendora as well. Primary objective is to improve water quality within the upper San Gabriel River. And secondary is you have the opportunity now to store and rehabilitate the park facilities. Funding for the design, as Malia mentioned, in the order of 2.4 million was awarded to the city of Glendora. And so the project is underway. Why is the city of Glendora undertaking a project like this? Well, the city is required under the NPDES permit to reduce water pollution and improve water quality. And the city, as a member with other jurisdiction, is a member of the Upper San Gabriel River Enhanced Watershed Management Programs. Essentially what this is a plan that was developed in partnership with other cities to show and demonstrate to the regional board how you can improve water quality within basically runoff coming from the cities can be improved through these types of measures. As mentioned before, Pinkbeiner Park is adjacent to Little Dalton Wash, and I'm sure everyone loves that park because it is a beautiful park. But it's also strategically located next to Little Dalton Wash, which makes it a really great opportunity to put in a water capture facility. And so the city, as a member, developed a feasibility study, which is a requirement to go after regional infrastructure funding through the Safe Clean Water Program. Is a feasibility study is required. And so that was developed and funding was successful. So now we get to talk about, well, what's happened since. So here's an overview. You can see the drainage area that comes into Little Dalton Wash. It's a fairly large area. You're talking about 1,500 acres, but of that 1,500 acres, 272 acres are developed. And that's where the majority of pollutants are coming from. And so the key benefits to the area is definitely its water quality. There is potential for water supply benefits because the infiltration rates at the park came in really high. They're exceptional. And so you are able to treat water through infiltration. And I hope you were happy to hear that because that does replenish the groundwater. And others is applying nature-based solutions, which means let's create some passive enhancements to show how can we improve the environment through nature-based strategies. Others are community investments, investing in our community. And these are, if you can see here, these are all the pillars that the Safe Clean Water Program is founded on, because the voters really wanted to see, water improvements, water quality improvements, but also benefits to the local community, using nature, more natural systems, and then, leveraging funds that you can, pursue, and then getting support. So here's an overview. You can see the park is actually where the 4 baseball diamonds are at Pinkbeiner. It's a strategic location because you can see the Little Dalton Washes there. What would happen is there would be in the Little Dalton Wash, there will be a grate at the bottom. And so basically think of it like a graded catch basin where water can drop into it. And then water will be conveyed and treated. There's what's called a pre-treatment system. It's called a hydrodynamic separator. But essentially, if you want to picture what that means, because that sounds really complicated, right? What it is, just think of a toilet bowl, right? Spinning around and because of the velocities of the water. And so all the heavy silts and sediments drop to the bottom. And that's how things are treated. So that's the initial filtration system. And then you can see that within this underground reservoir, there is a baffle system. So there's an additional wall that can slow down additional flows because what we are trying to do is clean the water up as we take it from the channel. So, and then what will happen is once it gets over the baffle wall, it goes into the large infiltration area where it can infiltrate back into the ground. We've also added in a pump that can pump water from this reservoir into a recirculating stream. So it creates that natural creek as well. And then in addition, we've also added in a filter system that what happens is, because what happens is there's so much water coming down Little Dalton Wash, which I'm sure you've seen, that we have the ability to use a small pump filter it again, which is an additional filter, and then send water back into the Little Dalton Wash. What this does is it creates additional performance out of the system. So instead of one of the things that with this project originally was somewhere around, with a feasibility study, somewhere around 19 acre feet, which is, that's pretty big reservoir. Through some optimization analysis that we've done, looking at the watershed, looking at how we can balance water and maximize pollutant load reductions, we're still able to treat water quality, but with a smaller, more efficient system here. So we went from a 19 acre foot facility to a 5.4 acre foot facility. So, and so you can see the improvements as a result. Some of the things that we're proposing on the surface is artificial turf on a turf field, which gives, soccer players and baseball players a year-round, facility, which is nice. So if it rains the next day, it's available to use. And my kids used to play soccer, and I think that that was important. But you can also see the alley on the north. We would also incorporate some additional landscaping, but turn that more into a green alley where you have permeable pavement along that alley, and you can also rehabilitate the pavement that's there. And then, as mentioned earlier, the recirculating stream, where you can take advantage of the underground reservoir that can work in concert with. So it gives the community, like the education programs, a way to connect with, the system through a recirculating stream as well. And then we're also adjusting some of the baseball fields so that it's a little bit more efficient. And then we've actually expanded, I believe, the basketball courts. We have a full and a half now. So those are some of the enhancements that's done, and as well as incorporating additional paths along the area as well. Here's a profile of what it actually looks like. So you can see the flood control channel. You can see there's an actuated valve, and the importance of that valve is that once the system is full, you can close the intake, and so it's a good safety measure. It's also will be designed such that it's normally closed. So if you do lose power, it'll automatically close as well. So it's a nice safety feature. And then there'll be a pretreatment unit, the hydrodynamic separator to clear filter water, the settling chambers, and you can see the underground reservoir there. But you can see the physical structure is 5.3 acre feet, but when you account for infiltration and pump filtering that's in the system, in a 24-hour period, this system functions like a 19 acre foot facility. So without building a big facility, you're able to perform with a smaller footprint, which has less impacts, which means that the baseball field can get back in operation sooner than before, which we feel is important. So here's the current progress. We're currently in design. We've completed the 60% design, and the 90% design plans have been completed. We've conducted geotechnical investigations to confirm the infiltration rates, and conducted additional design survey for the site as well. So the project overall is moving along quite well. As I said, the geotechnical investigation came in with really good infiltration rates, somewhere up to 2 inches per hour, which is wonderful. And so it's based on a 1 inch per hour, which is really good for this location. And then community outreach has been active since August. And so one of our teaming partners, Active SGV, is they've been at the soccer fields. They've been at the movie events. So they're really, they're really like boots on the grounds, and they are talking to the local community to get their feedback about this project. And then there'll be additional outreach for sports councils, Kiwanis Club, and Rotary Club as well. Okay, and then as far as this is very important, is the CEQA status, make sure we check all the boxes, but really the importance of addressing the environmental impacts overall, and making sure that still communal effects as a result of construction. And so the CEQA documents were initiated last year, and we anticipate it to be completed in September of 2023. We anticipate construction start somewhere if funding becomes is obtained for this project, then we could move along pretty quickly for construction start sometime in June 2024. So where is that funding for construction is coming from? You look like you're wondering, how are we going to do this? So you're right. The thing is the Safe Clean Water Program, once they funded you for design, the intent is, to support you towards construction. So in July of this year, we'll be submitting an application. The city of Glendora will be submitting an application through Safe Clean Water for construction funds for this project. And so, which is coming up in July. So let's see here. So here's the overall schedule. Right now, we're working with a budget of somewhere around $15 million for construction. And for this project, and that's the objective here. Yeah, with that, I think Billy and I are available for questions. So thank you very much.
All right, great report. Any questions, Mike?
Yes, thank you. For the, this project here, what's the cost benefit? How many acre feet versus, and we're, the city of residents of Glendora, we're only getting that Prop W on our
Yes.
property taxes. That'll fund it all.
Yes, that's the intent.
What's the cost benefit for all the acre feet that you're getting out of there for $20 million? It runs down the wash and picks up the same amount of dirt before, I mean, it's supposed to be cleaned up before it hits the Whittier Narrows.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, before it goes further down. And so roughly with a 5.3 acre foot facility, as far as infiltration, you'll probably see somewhere around 53 acre feet a year that would be infiltrated back into the ground. However, you are getting somewhere around about 200 acre feet a year in water quality treatment benefits. So that's really beneficial to the regional board. The system does treat pollutants, and essentially it's providing pollutant load reductions in the order of 80 to 90% with this system. And so those are the benefits. The thing is, you can't say, okay, well, it's a 1,500 per acre foot for water supply, and you're only getting 50 acre foot. The idea being it's multiple benefits. And so the water quality benefits is, protective of the city to meet the NPDES requirements. There's also water supply benefits. There's community benefits as well.
But
So-
but it filters down. Nobody's measuring this and saying, oh,
Actually, you will be.
but it goes into the ground eventually, right?
And so
The
those
ground
sensors, yeah,
filters it, and then we pump it out of the ground.
yes.
Plus, we're at the top of the watershed up here. Zinc's naturally occurring, right, from the
Um,
mountains?
No, the zinc is primarily coming from brake pads. Lead, copper, and zinc are the key pollutants.
Let's talk
and
about
then
water runoff.
runoff from the streets. Yeah, is where it's coming from.
Why are we using that water to irrigate Pink Banner Park?
That's also a possibility, but we looked in, and that's the reason for the artificial turf for the baseball fields, is that it offsets the need to irrigate the park as well.
When you have artificial turf, and I've worked with that,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
recycled water in the past for many years, you can't irrigate that with, you don't need to irrigate it, but if it's too hot in the summer to play, you have to irrigate it with potable water.
Yeah, you got to
So
cool
it cools
yeah,
it down.
yeah.
So, it's kind of you're putting that water back in the infiltration,
Yeah.
but there's other parts of the park. Are there any beneficial projects in the area if they get it? It's our water, right? We put it
Yes.
into that infiltration zone. We could use it for irrigated, does Oakdale have recycled water at it?
What was the question again?
Oakdale
Oh.
Cemetery, mortuary, or
Oh, actually, that's a question. Let's see.
no?
Yeah.
We got to think big. We're gonna let that water just go down the wash, pick up dirt and the same constituents we just removed, and then go down in the ground again and be filtered and pumped back out of the ground. We ought to look at
Mhm.
Glendora High School. I'm trying to think of people that are on the downward slope. We got LaFetra heading that way. We got all sorts of schools. We ought to look at recycled water to really get a benefit from this thing.
Yeah, and you can do that. The key here is, in order to do that, you do end up having to build a bigger reservoir to store water there and send it. And typically, if you do use it for spray irrigation, you would need like a package treatment plant. So we've installed those before, and those are somewhere around $500,000 to meet close to Title 22 standards.
We don't need Title 22, even just,
Yeah.
not even, just chlorine, if you get the solids out of it, and if it doesn't have, it's high in TDS typically, but you can
Yeah.
just hit it with chlorination and put it down in the recycled water. There's gotta be better benefit to the city of
Yeah.
Glendora than just letting it go back down the wash, where it's gonna go around shopping carts and other junk that's just down the road a little bit.
Yeah, for the most part, for most storms, you'll be capturing it, storing it, and infiltrating it at that location. And that's how
Right.
this system will work, yeah.
So just to add to that, Oliver, if I may, can we look at, and I think what Commissioner Holmes is
Mhm.
getting at is if there's a way we can receive direct benefits as a city, being that this is our water essentially, this is part of our runoff. Is there a way we can get direct benefit by means of utilizing this for irrigation purposes, right? And so I think that is something that's worth evaluating, or at least seeing what the cost of that would
Yes.
be, and if possible, it- I would certainly feel better if this project was a lot closer to our spreading grounds up north. That way we can see the direct impact to our wells, but it's really not, right? And so if there's a way we can receive direct benefits as a community,
Yes.
right, before it goes downhill, I think that's something that's worth looking at.
Yeah, so the analysis would be making it larger, and then we can do the analysis to see, okay, how much could we infiltrate with a larger footprint? I believe we had done that already, so we can include that for the commissioners as well. And then the alternative is, yeah, how would you then reuse it? So you could actually create a infiltration area and an area for storage that you can then incorporate, stormwater harvesting, which is basically stormwater reuse at the park. And so that's an option. Essentially would be, as far as costs, alternative is you could do artificial turf, or you can forego artificial turf. You could do a package treatment plant, as I believe the costs are about the same with a package treatment plant.
Well, I mean, if you,
Yeah.
we just gotta think bigger. I think LaFetra, we've got Stanton, we've got Oakdale.
Yeah.
We've got enough places to put recycled water, to
Mhm.
direct benefit to the city.
Yeah, so in order to do that, the nice thing is you have some fairly constant flow coming down a Little Dalton Wash. And so what you would do is if you put in the package treatment plant, because LA County Public Health does have requirements for stormwater reuse for spray irrigation. And so if you do feed that, you can feed it back to recycled water line. You need chlorine to be added, but typically for the recycled water line, you need as much constant flow as possible.
Agreed.
you
That's
don't
the
need to
problem.
go-
You can't have that diagonal curve. to,
Exactly, you can't
across,
let it
so,
spike. And
Yeah.
so that's
Something to
correct, yeah.
think about.
Yes,
So-
thank you.
Justin, you had a question?
I did, and I guess it could be framed potentially in two ways. Do we have a kind of an understanding of a year to year like O&M cost since we have the pump, and or another way to frame the question would be like, how do we guarantee the effectiveness of that underground infiltration like chamber and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so from our experience in dealing with these underground infiltration chambers, one of the key things that can clog it, which I'm sure everyone's familiar, is the silts. And so that's why initially the hydrodynamic separator takes care of that. And then there's a settling baffle system. But we've also talked to a lot of the manufacturers, and there are manufacturers who provide, because what'll happen is you'll have an infiltration hole. It's usually about 24 inches in diameter. They actually build a cage with filter fabric to keep it even to prevent silts from clogging your under your infiltration layers. And so those are some of the methods. Access for maintenance is key. The nice thing about Safe Clean Water program is when it was approved by the voters, it also includes funding for maintenance as well. Typical maintenance for this facility, we'd anticipate about $100,000 a year or more, around that range. The good thing is the intent for Measure W was capital improvement initially, and then you transition over to an O&M program. And so there is money there as well. Some of the typical maintenance would be cleaning the intake at the channel, and then clearing with a Vector truck the hydrodynamic separators, and then looking at the settling chambers and cleaning that out as well. So those would occur probably once a year.
Pat?
Thank you for the presentation. So the water will infiltrate into the ground. We still have a cost to pump it out and get it to our reservoir. So there's still that cost. So maybe just to dumb it down, if you don't mind, for me at least, is aside from the other regulatory issues for having this or proposing this, is the main issue just capturing the water out of the storm drain rather than just letting it continue on down? Just capturing water and trying to gain basically trying to get it back into our,
Exactly.
back into
Yeah.
our,
Yeah.
underground, basically.
Yeah, and we've seen this past storm seasons where, you know, it's really low flows and then it fills up really fast because of our, the community that we live in, is that it flows in really fast. And so your
Right.
infrastructure is not big enough to store all of that, and you can only take a certain amount. And then the regulatory requirement is more of a smaller storm event. It's actually one that occurs, you know, almost annually, which is considered less than a 1-year storm event. So what you typically see in most storms happening, that's the size that you're trying to treat for a water quality perspective. But you're right. The key is it is a lot when you have 10-year storm events coming through where you can't capture all that.
Right.
Yeah.
So earlier you had asked about the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
Is, I guess if we didn't have this, let's say that water would continue on down, we wouldn't capture it theoretically, right? So theoretically, if we needed that water and we didn't have it ourselves, we would have to purchase it, possibly.
Yeah.
Is there a cost benefit analysis of what this $20 million cost plus any, you know, maintenance later on?
Mhm.
I mean, what's the return? I mean, what's the return period versus if we theoretically had to buy that same volume
Yeah.
of water, if
Yeah.
we had to? I mean,
Yeah,
It-
you're correct. See, about 53 acre feet a year, roughly, and say $1,000 per acre foot. You know, you're talking about $53,000 is the benefit versus say a 20 million or $15 million construction project. However, the intent of this program isn't purely for recharge. The intent is really cleaning up water that's coming from the city of Glendora's runoff, you know, from the city, and cleaning it up and protecting the downstream, you know, habitat as well. And so those are things that the regional board could enforce if you don't meet certain water quality standards. And there are sampling stations where they are monitoring the concentrations and ensuring that, you know, are you meeting those water quality standards? So there's several things in the formula, but you're right. I mean, if you just said, this is for water supply recharge, $20 million and I'm only getting 53 acre feet a year, it doesn't pan out on cost benefit. But you also have to look at, you know, what are the mandates and some of the basis for approving Measure W was because a lot of the cities couldn't afford treating all this water that from developed areas. And so there was actually a lawsuit filed by a nonprofit organization that challenged that. And so part of addressing the legal challenges of not meeting water quality standards was the passage of Measure W along with all the other co-benefits. And so those are all the things that are, but you're right, the straight cost benefit, it wouldn't pan out. But the intent here is how can we improve the environment and what is the cost of being protective of the environment as well?
and I know I was
Yeah.
totally simplifying
Yeah,
that
but
when
it's
I
good, yeah.
proposed it that way, but I just
Yeah.
thought it was a fair question.
Yeah.
Just one last question. So of that $20 million proposed cost, and forgive me if you already mentioned this, how much of that is directly coming? I mean, is it all being directly coming from the city of Glendora with Measure W and so forth? Or is any of it, and again, forgive me if you already mentioned it, is any of it coming from grants or otherwise that's
So-
not coming from the city?
So, yeah, so the intent here is funding for Measure W comes, you know, is coming from property tax from everyone. And so the intent is that funding for these projects would come from Measure W, depending, and then the city also gets, so Measure W provides somewhere around $280 million a year from all of the residents of Los Angeles County. Of that, 40% actually goes through direct municipal return for the city of Glendora, which is about $1 million a year towards, you know, the programs for the city as well as developing new projects. And then the other 50% of that 280, so 140 million goes into regional programs like these. And so that's really the intent. So as we move forward for construction, the intent is the majority of that money would come from Safe Clean Water Measure W, where it would come from the city of Glendora directly from your you know, general fund. Yeah.
David, do you have a question? Okay, Justin?
It sounds like there's a region of projects with this kind of benefit in it, because generally when you go out for like state or grant funding, or if you choose to seek something like that, 52 is not really a big enough gulp. But is there opportunity? Have we explored looking at grant funding, especially what the state is putting out there right now, stormwater capture is huge, right? And it's definitely what they're looking for. Is that something that we can explore looking at as a regional project?
So part of our team includes a grants consultant who is looking for opportunities. The challenge for the city of Glendora is most of the state grants are focused on disadvantaged communities. And unfortunately, Glendora doesn't have a lot of disadvantaged areas here. And so that's really where the challenge is. And so but we are currently or continue to look for those opportunities. I think tomorrow there's a Clean California local grant, but if you're not a disadvantaged community, you would be required to provide a 50% match. They give somewhere around $3 to $5 million. I think 5 million is the maximum from Clean California. And then their first priorities would be the disadvantaged communities first, and then everyone else. So yeah, those are the challenges as well. But you're correct. Constantly, we are looking for opportunities to find additional sources of funding.
Mike?
Mr. Galang, I appreciate your candor. Thank you very much for your presentation. I had a question for Ms. Ansari on the projects. Please, I mean, you're the chair, The chair's prerogative.
Well, the one question I have is looking at the big picture with that infiltration rate. One of the things that we could be looking at would be to supplement not just the stormwater, but import water, reclaim water, and then having a new well developed downstream of the spreading grounds. So that could to help drought proof the city, we could be looking at more than 52 acre feet. Okay.
And Rick, that's probably better. We don't have a steady source for recycled water to keep that charged all the time in the system. That's probably a better way to use the money or the water.
Well, one of the things we could be looking at with the trunk lines, the sanitation district trunk lines,
Scalping plants.
and put in those package plants
Yeah,
and scalping off the reclaimed water. And then there is a way to get MWD water into the Little Dalton Wash. So there's 3 sources of water that could go into the basin.
they're suggesting to put it into the well field instead of a recycled water, probably get a better,
Right,
quicker
right.
benefit from that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's very good. Ms. Ansari, just a project on Bennett, Washington, Westridge. Are they going to start that? Are they going to get it done before school? I live right by there and they got LaFetra and Sandburg. It's a mess there, 20 minutes, 2 times a day. Crowded. And we want to make sure that we don't want to put any extraordinary traffic signage or anything there with the kids walking and parents dropping their kids off. Is it just a supply? You said it's the service lines?
So as I mentioned, that it is a condition of construction or in the big spec that the construction on Bennett Avenue from Branca to Grand will be only during school vacation. We are in contact with the school district as well. I'm not sure that there will be construction in the summer break or not, but Glendora Unified School District is not conducting their summer classes in Sandburg this year. So even if so that is what we are considering. Our main construction period will be in a school break.
So if they got to work like Saturday, Sundays and Christmas break and stuff like that?
No, our intention is that if possible, not Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, in summer break, starting from June
Sure,
1st,
sure.
June 1st to August. I believe the schools are going to reopen on August 14th or 13th, something like that. So that is our primary focus. If they come, lay down the main line, and then we will consider that when they will be doing the service laterals. But everything depends on the availability of material, and till this time, we don't have any schedule or hopeful situation that project can be started. June is just next month.
Yes, thank you.
So with this, it
Yep.
conclude our,
Okay,
Oh,
Pat's
sorry.
got another question.
On the Glendora Reservoir, the demolition, looks very nice, looks a lot better than it did with that eyesore there. In the landscaped area next to the new parking lot, are they going to do something more with that? Because it looks like it's a lot of mulch and so forth. Is there some bigger plan with that? Do you know? Do you happen to know?
At this time, it is mulch only, that there will be some irrigation, like landscape is not planned like on an extensive manner, because there are different thoughts how to use that mulch area, and one of the thought that came to use at movie in the parks during the summer break. So that will be the place where mobile screens will be coming.
And Commissioner, just to chime in on that, it was very intentional to not install a permanent structure in that area in the event that we have to come back and install, or there's a need for water infrastructure such as a reservoir or a conveyance pipeline. I know one of the things that we're looking at as part of the Irwindale rehabilitation of those wells is a number of conveyance pipelines or reservoir systems. So in the event that we need to come back and utilize that area for a water infrastructure is why we left that open.
Thank you. I figured there was a reason for doing that. I was just curious if there was a bigger plan for it. So thank you.
Okay, great, great report, Malaya. Oliver, great report. Can I have a motion to receive and file the update on the engineering division capital improvement program?
We have a motion by Vice Chair Nakano. Do we have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Thomas. I will open it up so you guys can vote. Now I'll conduct an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas? Vice Chair Nakano?
Aye.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, great. Next item, item number 7, fiscal year 2022-23 water supply outlook, third quarter. And Water Division Manager Dale Wirt is going to report.
Hi, sirs. Thank you for allowing me to do this. It is for the fiscal year 2022-2023 water supply outlook for the third quarter. The city of Glendora has received as of April 4th. I will be doing updates, so you'll get the updated information. Was 34.55 inches of rainwater. Obviously, all of us have experienced that super heavy rain in the last through January and especially March. This represents 10.55 inches above our average of 24. The update concludes that in the month of April, we received about a little over another 0.6 or 0.64 inches of rain in April, bringing our total into April at 35.19 inches. Next is a slide, a comparative slide of the fiscal years 2020 and 2021 in blue, 2021 to 2022 in red, and 2022 to 2023 in green. If you notice in the slides, the totals in green, the January and March were the highest month, the highest months. And the update for that is also April. April, we added another 0.7 inches for a total of, again, 35.19 inches of total rain now for the city of Glendora. As of January through March 2023, the following agencies didn't make any deliveries to the San Gabriel River. They were all of our main providers: Upper District, Three Valleys, and San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District. Next is a few slides of the San Gabriel Reservoir. On the right is March 9th, 2023. You can see the large amount of debris that washed in from the fires. And just imagine about 4 months prior in October and November, that was completely empty and being dredged. The next slide on the left is San Gabriel Reservoir on March 22 of 2022. You can see the levels of the earthen dam there. If you compare them to the left-hand side, you'll notice that 2 of the other shelves are underwater. I believe at that time in 2023, as far as I can remember, that was one time that this spillway was actually active at San Gabriel River. Oh, not too far. That is the effluent of the San Gabriel River, into the San Gabriel River from the San Gabriel Reservoir outlet. They are moving at about 5,000 cubic feet per second. If you pay attention to the right-hand side of the slide, you'll notice a white line coming down the side of that hill there, that is a waterfall. And I believe, Pat was with us, and David was with us, and there was more than one waterfall there. I'm gonna date myself. I'm 50 years old. I spent a lot of time as a child and as an adult in that canyon, and I've never seen waterfalls in that canyon. Most of them are due from the heavy precipitation we've had, as well as the heavy snowpack that we have in our actual local mountains still. This is a photograph of Morris Reservoir, which is downstream from San Gabriel Reservoir. On the right-hand side is a photograph from March 9th, 2023, and on the left is a photograph of March 22nd, 2022. They were holding Morris at full pull in 2022 due to the work above them and San Gabriel. At this time, on March 9th in 2023, both reservoirs were quite full. This spillway was actually also active, and they raised the upper doors on the spillway to add probably another, I think it's 4 to 6 feet of storage. The next slide is the outlet of Morris Reservoir, putting out about 10,000 CFS at this time, moving its way down the San Gabriel River, splitting off into the various utilities that take it, ZUSA, as well as ourselves through the LA County spreading grounds. All right, we're going to talk about snowpack. I will also provide updates for these. And this is as April 4th. The northern snowpack was about 192% of normal, with the peak happening on recorded on April 20th at 199%. The upper Colorado Basin at that time of April 4th was 159% of normal, also peaking red at April 20th of 165%. Colorado system is a little different. Lake Powell recorded at April 4th at 22%, has only climbed a small percentage up to 23%. And then Lake Mead recorded on the 4th at 28%, has only climbed to 29%. So Colorado hasn't yet seen any dramatic impact from the storms or even the snowpack. Storage in California, however, is at April 4th, as you can see, due to the heavy precipitation and conditions. The average over all the reservoirs, but a few, was about 82%. As of the same time, April 20th, we're quite about 95 to 100% on a lot of our reservoirs. There are a few that are not. The biggest change in this slide, to me, as somebody who's worked in the water industry for quite a while, is even on April 4th, they had the supply allocation up to 75%. As of April 20th, that supply allocation is up to 100%. So they're filling some of the reservoirs that are even further down south here, such as Diamond Valley Lake and Skinner, as we speak, about the excess water coming down from the state project. All right. As of April 7th, 2023, the Baldwin Park Key Well measured about 211.8 feet. That was an increase of 32 feet over just a 3-month period, probably a very dramatic incline. And the update for that, as of April 21st, that water level went up to 221.4 feet, which is an additional 9.6 feet since April 11th. With that continuing spreading, coming down into our main spreading grounds, hopefully through May and June, we should see another pretty good rise in elevation into that aquifer there. This is our water production and treated water purchases for the first quarter of 2023. As you can see, well production in January, we did 457.3 acre feet. February, we were up to 510 acre feet. In March, we were back down to 415.23 acre feet. As noted, those 2 months, January and March, were the highest rain calculations for this quarter, thus a reduction in production that was needed. We didn't purchase any Metropolitan Water District in that period. This is also to kind of show you a visual. In fiscal year 2022 is in the tan color, fiscal year is 2023 in the red. This is our acre feet of production. We didn't purchase any met, so there's none on here. This is all our production. And if you note that this year is actually less production in all cases. And that was just due to all the heavy rain we had. People were just not taking water. All right, to the good stuff. Water Division did tours on March 6th and March 10th. The following locations, we went up to Azusa Canyon, took a tour down the San Gabriel River into the LA Spreading Grounds, and the San Gabriel Pumping Plant. We did one tour with Justin Nakano, another tour with Pat and David. And these are just some slides from that. There we are at Morris Dam. Again, pretty high full pool. I'll come out to see it. It was a very, very spectacular day after all the heavy rain. On the slide on the right is us at our San Gabriel plant. That is Ron Nitschke, our production supervisor, talking with Justin on us about the pumping facilities and the wells there and the well levels. Here's the next picture with Pat and myself and Ron out at the San Gabriel Reservoir, looking out over that. And the next picture on the right-hand side is Ron inside our San Gabriel pumping plant, going over pump configurations and how stuff works. Very, very, very nice tour. After that, that's all I have. Any questions?
Great, questions? David?
Well, I just wanted to thank Dale and Ron for the great tour that you gave. That was very, very educational. It was so cool to see the chain and the way the water is distributed here. And it really gave me a much clearer idea of how things operate. They also showed us the control panel section at the water yard itself, which is pretty impressive.
That's the SCADA system. They actually started at the yard and then we took them up. So they got to see not just the conveyance on the way down, but actually our pumping facilities in town.
Oh, yeah. Justin?
I just want to also say thank you for that tour. When I first started on the commission back in 2016 or so, I went on a very, very similar tour, and to kind of end my time on the commission with another tour. And actually, I think 2016 was a pretty rainy year too.
Yeah,
So,
15, 16.
but not like it was this year. So it was really neat to see all that. So thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Mike and I have yet to go on the tour.
3-hour tour.
Yes, it's about 3 hours. Yes.
I did have a couple of questions regarding the canyon spreading grounds. Are they full?
Yes.
Okay, and then the water's going down to Santa Fe spreading grounds?
Yes, it is. And they're out of Santa Fe Dam, they're diverting it to both sides. If you understand what that is, there's
Yeah,
a side
yeah.
that goes down to 605 and there's a side on further east. But our pits, or what we call the Glendora pit or the LA County spreading grounds, those are full. They kept them right at the overflow. They're not overflowing the gates back to the river. But both pits on the Azusa side and our side are full.
So the canyon, San Gabriel Canyon wells up there should be pretty good producers this coming year.
Yes, we are excited and waiting for the summer to come. Hopefully, it'll still be a lot less than last year, maybe temperature wise, we hope, but we're ready to produce our own water.
Is everything up and running? The wells and the pumps and everything?
Currently, yes, and we have one project, which is the chlorination system at San Gabriel plant will be going through this next month, and we'll be back online before summer.
Okay, great.
What's
Yep.
the static water level in those?
I'll have to check for you. I don't have that information, but I'll get it right back to you.
It's just pretty moving up.
Yes, it is climbing at a decent rate. I've worked here for 5 years. That's my key. Ron's been around a lot longer, and that pit's only been that full a few times. Yeah.
Okay, great report, Dale. Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Can I have a motion to receive and file fiscal year 22-23 water supply outlook, third quarter?
So we have a motion by Commissioner Holmes, seconded by Commissioner CC. I will now open up so you guys can vote and do an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Nakano,
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, moving on, new business, item number 8. We have something from the Transportation Division update and call upon Stephen Matter. Mateer,
Chair-
for the report.
Chair, if I may just introduce Steve, this is not a water item. However, Steve is our transportation manager and has been doing some tremendous job as far as enhancing transportation and just how we move around in our community here in Glendora. So he's been going around and just educating our commissions and boards on what is to come and some of the great work that he's doing. So happy to have him today.
Thank you, Chair, and
Okay.
thank you, Commissioner,
Steve?
for the opportunity to present. And thank you, Chisholm, for the warm introduction. I'll try to live up to those. that praise. So Chisholm mentioned, my name is Stephen Mateer. I'm the Transportation Manager for the City of Glendora, and I just want to brief the Commission on the progress we're making as a division. So for those who are not familiar with what we do, we operate the city's transit fleet. We offer dollar ride and fixed route service to the Gold Line as well as a midday shuttle for the junior high and high school in our city. We do bike and pedestrian planning and project delivery. We also do all of our compliance reporting to Metro, FTA, AQMD. I like to joke we do everything but road rehabilitation, so I can't fix potholes, but I can hopefully bring a bus to pick you up, or a bike maybe. And lastly, we work very closely with our regional partners like Metro, Foothill, and Metrolink on regional service. So one of our major projects right now is transitioning to zero emission fleet. That's a California Air Resources Board requirement for all transit operators. We fall under the small operator category. So we have a longer time to adopt or fully transition. However, I'm happy to say that we're actually going to beat that. We'll be zero emission by 2025 for all required vehicles. So that'll be 4 fully battery electric buses, which I'll show you what those will look like coming up. Being a small city, obviously capital is a major constraint for us. So we've been very aggressive seeking grant funding to pay for this transition. As part of that, we've discovered, there's energy limitations in the city. So we are moving our current transit yard, which is over by Finkbeiner Park next to LaFetra Center, to the existing Parks yard right now. And as part of that, we're working with Edison to do what's called make ready work. So they will build everything from their power line up to the stub out for free, no cost to the city. And then we're responsible for installing chargers and doing all the reporting and operating of our transit fleet. As part of that, mentioned going after grants, we've been successful in securing Air Resources Board grants for purchasing the chargers. We are buying DC fast chargers, which can charge our buses in about 3 hours. That's a major concern with a lot of transit operators moving to zero emission, as the range is just not there. For better or for worse, we have relatively short ranges from our routes. So we're able to what's called opportunity charge during the day. So we're pretty confident that we'll be able to keep our buses moving throughout the day. As picture here, this is the first 2 buses that we're purchasing. They're from Green Power, which is based in Rancho Cucamonga, and they're assembled in Porterville. These carry about 26 passengers and have a range of 163 miles. That's advertised. It's probably a lot less, especially when you drive it and the air conditioning is running, but these will last about 10 years. So the other half of what I do, or what my division does, is we do our bike and pedestrian planning for the city. Some of you may notice the construction going on in the village right now. That's one of our projects, which is the Mita Avenue and Bus Plaza projects. That came out of the outdoor dining and COVID restrictions that we had. And we've done about 2 years of outreach and design work to get to where we are right now with fully implementing the project. So this is the layout view. As you see, this is the East Plaza near Stubborn Mule. We'll be having games, cafe seating. One of the things I think is really pushing the envelope for us is we're going to have a fire pit on the street. I think we are the only city with the publicly operated fire pit. So, we're joining a very small list of cities that have been able to repurpose their streets and create new public spaces in our downtowns. And that's as if you're looking towards Glendora Avenue along Mita. So there you see the games, fire pits, and the seating, as well as landscaping. On the west side, so near Priscilla's and Sushi Nai, adding again additional outdoor seating, games. Really, the idea here is we want people to stay in the downtown, eat, spend money. Really looking at this as an economic development tool, in addition to providing additional public space. And one of the things you'll notice I'm really proud of is we are working with a local muralist to paint the street. So you see there's that blue floor. These are the same muralists that painted that Glendora mural on the side of the building at Bennett in Glendora. So there are two people who grew up in Glendora. I'm sure they live here, and they're actually out painting the street this week. So we're making some great progress on the project. And then for the bus plaza, I'll just skip ahead to that. This gives you a better view. We'll be adding in balloon canopy with string lighting, as well as a cube seating on the back to create a stage effect so that we can have more community events here in the plaza. I will note that is not the color of the balloons we selected. It's not a great color. That was just kind of a conceptual color. So they will be different. They'll be rotated out once a quarter because they last about 3 months before they need to be changed. And this will all come down for the Christmas tree lighting in November. So the major investment that we're working on right now is what's called our Glendora People Movement Project. This is 10 miles of bike and pedestrian projects throughout the city. Includes first last mile improvements to the future Glendora station. The urban trails, which are walking, biking paths along the flood control channels in the city. We are estimating $21 million for the total investment. And again, that's not accounting for the current level of inflation. So that's probably going to be a lot higher. To date, we've secured nearly $12 million of that 21 million. So the map here, I apologize for the crudeness of it, but that gives you an idea of the scope that we're building out. So you'll see Little Dalton, Big Dalton, and San Dimas Wash north to south. Those are the green lines. Orange are on-street first last mile improvements. As I mentioned, we've secured $5 million from Congresswoman Judy Chu from an earmark, 6.6 million from the SGV Council of Governments to start work on this project. In about last year, the council selected scenario 1 as our phase 1 approach to this. So that will include completing the San Dimas Wash extension. Right now, for those of you who may not know, we do have an existing path that goes from Pompey Park to Sunflower Gladstone. The next extension is 1.5 miles to Grand and Arrow. We are in final design right now. We are working with LA County and Army Corps for our construction permits. Same project will be on the Little Dalton Wash and on Glendora Avenue. I'll show you what it looks like. That'll be on-road separated bike lane. So this is the San Dimas Wash project. We have 2 opportunity areas for new pocket parks in the city. This is at Gladstone and Sunflower. So speaking to residents, they wanted workout equipment and additional seating. So as you can see here, gives you kind of a sense of where the bike path would go. This is as the path goes through Gladstone Park. You'll note here that there's native landscaping, additional seating, water fountains, and bike repair station here as well. And then towards the end of the project, this is near Grand and Arrow. We have another opportunity to do additional landscaping. So again, drought tolerant native landscaping and additional outdoor seating for people to rest and recreate. So as I mentioned, this is now getting to the first last mile sections. This is Glendora Avenue at Ada by the post office. And this is with the roundabout. And you'll notice too, we are going from 2 lanes to one lane north-south here. Part of that is due to Glendora Avenue is excessively wide and there's not a high volume of traffic. So we've observed a number of speeding issues as well here at this intersection, failure to stop at the stop sign. I've gone to that post office. I'm sure we all have. It's a little bit hairy trying to walk across that intersection. So a roundabout here really felt is the best middle ground between a stop sign and a stoplight. This is looking south on Glendora. And this is, again, visioning some of the economic development that can happen as part of these projects. You'll notice on the left is a raised protected bike lane. We are maintaining all parking, so there's no parking reduction as part of this project, and hoping to see additional extension of the village feel further south towards the station. This is at Carroll and Glendora, so right near the library and PD. And this is with a mid-block crossing and some of the other treatments. And I'll note here too, this is one area where we are partnering with Public Works and looking at ways to do stormwater capture on Glendora Avenue. I remember when I started here, I was stunned at how much Glendora Avenue floods during heavy rains. And so based on that, we know that there is opportunity for, stormwater capture on this project. So looking at ways of having co-benefits from transportation investments here. And I think one of the most innovative parts of our design is at Foothill and Glendora. This is what's called a protected intersection. And the logic here is that you keep cars in car lanes, bike in bike lanes, and pedestrians in the crosswalk. So that green path you see there, bicyclists, in order to turn left, will follow that green path around. That prevents bicyclists from going over 3 lanes to make a left. It gives cars better visibility as they're turning right, looking for pedestrians and bicyclists. And this is at Foothill and Grand Avenue. This is obviously the bridge now is in place, so that's great. And here we'd be looking at adding a bike lane from Citrus College essentially to the village. So now that way it's a safe place to bike for students going to Citrus College. And this is also looking further, this is looking east on Foothill. And again, hopefully seeing some of the economic development that comes with additional public investment in this area. Yes. So Foothill Boulevard is interesting is that for most of its length, it's 1 lane each direction. And then a couple areas it accordions to being 2 lanes and then goes down to 1 lane. So we're making it a standard 1 lane each direction throughout the corridor. As I mentioned, we've done a couple demonstration projects. One you'll see in the village right now, which at the crosswalks. We did one at Washington Elementary, which is on Gladstone. I'm sure as any of you have seen Gladstone, people drive extremely fast on there. Trying to get little kids across the street to elementary school is very difficult. So as part of that, we did curb extensions and a mid-block refuge. And I'm happy to say that as a result of that effort, City Council directed us to do permanent improvements, as you see there. And then in the village, we're doing a similar demonstration right now. Again, similar issues of failure to yield to pedestrians. So we narrowed the lanes, added a pedestrian refuge, and added additional signage to indicate proper yield positions for vehicles. And with that, I can take any questions from the commission. Thank you.
Questions? Michael?
Glendora will go for a road diet. I mean, moving the lanes off there on Foothill. I mean, that's. I'm not, I
Yeah,
have no
yeah.
say in this thing. I just lived here for 30 years and I know that that's gonna cause some residents.
Mhm.
My big deal, and I've talked to somebody in your department over the years, all the streets that are controlled by the construction for the rail line are not on timers. They just run through their cycles.
Yes.
You want to save gas and irritation of drivers. Why can't we change those lights so they're actuated? Like the best one in this city is Lone Hill and Route 66.
Right.
Why can't we do that? What is the traffic? Is Metro controlling the one at Grand and Foothill?
So the issue with that one specifically is LA County controls that intersection and they're waiting on parts. So
I
that's,
mean,
yeah,
it
it's
is
on a timer because the
2 in the
sensors don't
morning.
work.
I'm
Yeah.
there waiting for I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've been there too. I come back late from hockey and I'm waiting.
Grand or Glendora Avenue and Route 66, same thing. That's all LA County,
I'm sorry, you said which intersection?
Glendora Avenue and Route 66.
I believe all of Route 66 is controlled by the county. Yes. So it require us to coordinate with them on signal synchronization.
Yeah, not even synchronization, just making that traffic. So when you hit the actuator, it goes through the timing. I mean, it's
Yeah, I'll talk to Public Works. I know that's not just an issue, that intersection. I know it was at Vermont for a while and then it's moved down to
Vermont's
Pasadena.
changed up. It's
Right.
not bad. Pasadena and Route 66, it has the left turn, you hit the light.
Right.
Nobody's there and you got to wait for that to clear through.
Right.
Is it the county?
I believe the county controls Route 66, and I will say too, we are next couple of years updating our circulation element. I think a major goal of that will be identifying roads such as Route 66 and Grand, which probably need to have more signal synchronization so that we're not waiting for, kind of useless cycles to happen.
Well, Grand Avenue is just a red light. It's all red light.
Yeah.
I avoid that. Brake is a little better.
Right.
But why can't we, LA County, so if I made some calls to Supervisor Barger's office, they control those intersections?
That's my understanding, yes.
Who would know if I can get a definitive answer?
Public Works would know that.
I talked
Yeah.
to them and he said, the guy there said, we have to talk to the fire chief, or the fire and the police. I said, what for? So the traffic flows smoother?
Mhm.
I said, what is, they have a traffic committee that meets every quarter or something? I wrote an email, I never heard back from the gentleman, so. But that is just,
Mhm.
that light should actuate.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's something I think, we'll want to be looking at, especially as construction's ending now. There's really not a need to have
There's no need for it
Must not
now.
be-
I
yeah.
mean, they got the actuators, they got the traffic signals, just hit the light, actuate it and, so.
Yeah, and to go back to your question about the road diets, I think, we've done outreach for the past 4 years now. Various groups showing Foothill Boulevard, had several community meetings, have not had any really complaints about that. When we did the demonstration project during COVID, you may remember on Glendora Avenue, we did that. We did a survey, had 550 responses, most of the negative comments were about the aesthetics of the project because it was a demonstration. It wasn't really about the lane being removed. We've looked at the traffic studies. There, it just is not the volume that we would expect to have it be a substantial impact. And I'll also, note too, as I mentioned, Foothill Boulevard, it's not as if it's 2 lanes the entire way. It accordions in very inopportune times.
Yeah, like
it's-
right after Grand, and that, they should have taken land from that project and made it 2 lanes all the way down. So I mean, that's a failure. Well, I'm nobody here. I'm out of my lane, Rick. Thank you. though.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you.
Justin, anything?
With the MetroLink coming in, one of my big concerns was, people using it just to get out of Glendora, but I think these improvements that you've shown to us today, I think are encouraging to draw people to Glendora and kind of build that up. So, thank you for the presentation.
David?
First, what does the term first and last mile mean?
Oh, it's a great question. I apologize. I tried to keep it brief, so I didn't bore you guys. First last mile refers to when you leave your home and that's that first mile to, or whatever distance, to the train station. Last mile is once you get off the train or the bus going to your destination. So the logic there is if we can make those 2 bookends of your trip comfortable, you'll be more likely to continue to use transit to get to where you're going.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. How are you going to handle parking problems? First of all, I want to congratulate you on doing something about the nightmare intersection at the post office, which is always taking your life in your hands going through there. But I'm based on the Azusa's experience with their metro stop, people parking all over the place and illegal is going to be an issue.
Yes.
What are we doing to address that?
That's an excellent question. The Gold Line Authority has commissioned a study on parking management plan. They've done an initial assessment and recommendations on strategies for us to address parking issues. I'm happy to report that we are planning or are doing a lot of what they're recommending. So for example, we have a shuttle that runs every 15 minutes to the Gold Line station. We're going to be implementing first last mile projects. Whether or not that's enough, I think we'll have to see. I know the authority has reduced the number of parking spaces at the current station, which I think suggests we should be, doing more like things like adding more transit. Other options are looking at doing permit parking around the station so that you don't have people parking in residential areas for 8+ hours or in a commercial district or at a private lot, taking up parking spots.
Then I had a question. I like the public space idea in the downtown area, but what are we going to do about one of our biggest crime problems comes out of the homeless population that we have? So what are we going to do about managing that and vandalism of these nice facilities we're constructing?
Yeah, it's a great question. We work closely with our community services department, which has our homeless and outreach services group. I believe in the last survey they've done, they've actually been really great about helping homeless individuals connect with services, move off the streets. I think they've recorded a reduction in the number of homeless individuals in the city. We've ran the plans by the police department, and something. Obviously, we can't prevent vandalism all the time, but to date, what we've seen with what we had out on Mita Avenue now. We have not had the vandalism or the homeless issue that we see. So hopefully going forward, that continues. But I know, Debbie and her team are very diligent about responding quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I think Pat?
Just a comment. Thank you for the presentation. I live off of Gladstone and I often wish I had bought a house on this side of the hill, closer to the village. And after seeing your presentation, I'm even more jealous now because I really like the aesthetics of, especially that roundabout. I think that looks like a really cool entrance into the village without having to get to Foothill to enter the village.
Right.
And it just, it's nice. It's very nice. And I'm more jealous now that I live on the other side of the hill. So thank you for that. But anyways, good work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll note, the San Dimas Wash is going to be completed, hopefully start construction next year. So that'll be a great amenity, hopefully for you to
Yeah, I'm
use
kind of
as-
interested in that because Lord knows, especially from whoever cropped the picture of me on the tour there. And I'm hoping that picture is like enlarged because.
I feel you. I'm the
anyway,
same way. Yeah.
I really want to start running again, and where I live off of Glendora, just west of Bonnie Cove, there isn't a running route.
Right.
And even if I went over to the Gladstone Park, there's that one little one on the south side, but you can't really run that.
Right.
So you said it's going to go from Sunflower, I guess, along the Wash all the way to Arrow Highway. So
Correct.
that could be like a running route, I assume.
Yeah,
I
you
suppose,
could
right?
theoretically run from Grand and Arrow to Pompey Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that'll include crosswalk enhancements at, areas where the washes cross the street.
Yeah,
So
that'd be great for those of us on the other side of the hill. So thank you for
we're
that.
trying it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. All of the renderings you showed us, were they phase one?
Except for Foothill Boulevard. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the timeframe of getting all this done?
So San Dimas Wash will, again, if county and Army Corps can get us our permits on time, that'll start next early spring, like around March. We're also limited in when we can build. We can't build during the rainy season. So that's been a limitation. So that will get done. Takes about 6 to 8 months to construct that whole project. For Glendora Avenue, that will be probably about a year of design and then in about 6 to 8 months of construction. So long story short, we're looking to have phase one completed by the time the goal line opens up in 2026. The earmark from Congresswoman Chu has allowed us to look at doing Foothill Boulevard now as part of phase one. So that was been a great development. So that's what I'm looking for is around 2026 to complete all those
Great.
elements.
Great. Okay, Pat?
One last thing. So just out of curiosity, and this may not be your place, at Gladstone Park on the north side, that's a pretty large area. And the most south part of it goes up to the Wash. Couldn't a walking or running lane be put around that portion of the park? Because again, it's been a while since I've been over to that area, but mainly because I don't have young kids and I can't really run over there. Couldn't like a running lane or a walking lane be put on the north side of that park, especially around where it butts up against the Wash and then coming back around to where Gladstone, something like that? I mean, has that ever been?
It's
looked at or
possible.
talked
I don't know. I know at one point there was the community services looking at a splash pad there. I know there's been a new change and kind of upgrades to Gladstone. So I would talk to community services about those. Like, it's a great idea. I don't see why not,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, could we have a motion to receive and file the Transportation Division update?
A motion by Commissioner Holmes and seconded by Vice Chair Nakano. I will now open up so you guys can vote and do an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Ceci?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas? Vice Chair Nakano?
Yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Stephen. Okay, that brings us to Commissioner Staff closing comments. Comments, anybody?
Yes, just one comment. Again, Vice Chair Nakano, it's been an amazing pleasure working with you over the course of this past 2 years. And I was actually told to inform you that you can take your name tag home if you want to. So that's a token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to express again all the gratitude that I have for your staff and the city for allowing me to be on this commission for this time and serving you guys in this way. And I will definitely take that name tag. Thank you.
No, Pat?
I do just have a question about the replacement. I mean, what happens now? The city council will interview for,
Yeah, actually, we have appointed someone. They will start as of July 1st. So those new terms actually begin July 1st. And Mr. Hansen was actually the incumbent actually got nominated in, so.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah.
Fortunate enough to get enough votes. Yeah, they took me back, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the new commissioner will start on July 1st.
David? No. Well, I would like to say thank you to Justin, not only for 8 years of service, but his commitment to the water industry and what he's done. And I've watched him, his career, and I'm very proud of what he's accomplished and where he's going. And I know there's the big things ahead for him. So just thank you for your time and your service here on the Water Commission. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 8 o'clock.